We have to get the heck out of here. Well, we're getting an early start this morning because there's signs all up the dirt road coming up into this area that say that the logging trucks are in operation. Yeah, it's not fun when you're going up a dirt road or down a dirt road when you've got a fleet of logging trucks, running and trucks plucked out. Be sure and stick around for the second half of this video where Linda and I visit an area of Nevada that has intrigued us for years and puzzled us too. Maybe you can help us figure it out. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the day brings. The first part of this drive should be beautiful, about the first third of it, and maybe the last third. The middle third, not so much. Well, we just stopped here along the North Fork of the Salmon River and made some coffee because we wanted to get out of that campsite without encountering the logging trucks. And we did. We made it down. So, you happy now that you got coffee?
I haven't sipped it yet, so not happy yet.
Ooh. Yeah, it should be a pretty drive today. We'll follow the Salmon River for a ways. Salmon River because the salmon actually come up this far to spawn all the way from the Pacific Ocean to Idaho.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, that's just amazing they travel this far. Lewis and Clark actually traveled this way to the North Fork of the Salmon River, but they said at that time the river was impassable by canoe. It was just constant rapids. So they traveled 125 miles north of here and bought horses from the Native Americans in this area. They said that the Native Americans in this area were friendly but very poor. It actually just amazes me how far they traveled back then. We're talking like 1803 to 1806, all the way from back east out here, and there was nothing here at all. Some trappers had been to this area though already, but some fur trappers, but man, what an expedition that was. There's a interesting hermit that used to live in this area along the Salmon River by the name of Dugout Dick. And he was born in 1916, served in World War II. After the war, he'd seen enough death and calamity, and he just wanted to go somewhere and be by himself. And he came out to this area of Idaho, which was very sparsely settled at the time, and built himself a dugout on the other side of the Salmon River here, basically a cave, and started life again here. Anyways, Dugout Dick lived here for years and years, I think up until the 80s or something like that. He actually died here. He built a series of dugouts. It was on public land, but the BLM, they let him stay. He even had a cave that he would rent out to tourists to make a little side money. Linda and I tried going over there, but at one time, but I think the road wasn't conducive to pulling our trailer in and we didn't want to unhitch. There's still a cabin over on the other side that belonged to him. But after he passed away, the BLM took over the land again and kind of demolished that, what was there, from what I understand. But anyways, Dugout Dick, he was a pretty famous hermit in these parts. Well, this area that we've been driving through along the Salmon River in Idaho, this is kind of like central Idaho, eastern central Idaho. It's amazingly beautiful all along it. Lots of places to camp. There's BLM land, there's National Forest land. It's just a really nice place to come and spend your vacation. You wouldn't be bored here at all. There's usually good restaurants around in the little towns and things like that. Yeah, this is a beautiful place. We've been enjoying the ride. It's pretty twisty though, because you're following the river all along, and there's slowing down to 25 miles an hour a lot just to get around some really sharp bends and things. I haven't been talking while driving because of that. So we pulled over here so I could tell you about this area. Well, we're no longer following the beautiful river valley of the Salmon River. Southern Idaho is wide open spaces. Nothing but sagebrush and sagebrush. We're north of Twin Falls, Idaho on Highway 26, about 45 miles north of Twin Falls. This place is known as Craters of the Moon National Monument. It looks like it would be really cool to go walking out there. You wouldn't get 50 feet before you turn around and try to make your way back. It is so rough. The rocks are so sharp, but it's pretty incredible looking. This is all lava flow. Craters of the Moon is in south central Idaho, and it's a national monument. There is a visitor center. There are established trails where you can get out and walk through this. It's pretty interesting to look at. It's pretty rugged. It's probably the most rugged terrain you can possibly imagine. And it's absolutely beautiful in its velvet black coloration. When we think of lava flows, we think in terms of millions and millions of years ago that it happened. Right here in this area, there's a cinder cone that was erupting as recent as 2,000 years ago. Geologically speaking, that's like this morning. Yeah, these two cones over here, that one and the one next to it, erupted just 2,000 years ago. Well, we're still making our way down towards Nevada. Should be there today yet. We're only about 90 miles north of Twin Falls, Idaho. Got to make a supply stop there and then be in Nevada right after that. Plan on spending some time there. We love it down there in the sagebrush and pinyon pines. Anyways, we'll get to that later. Back on the road. Years ago, before we had a YouTube channel, no cargo trailer, nothing, we were traveling up Highway 6 here in Nevada, coming out of Southern California. I had to make a rest stop. So we pulled off the side of the road right here where I'm parked right now. And we had been driving for hours. So I told Linda, let's go for a little walk and stretch our legs. And we headed up this ravine right here, just kind of poking around.
So we're walking up this creek bed or gully and just poking around, looking at stuff, getting exercise, and lo and behold, we found some flakes, scrapers.
We started finding these artifacts. They were round cutting tools. Archaeologists refer to them as a tool or a scraper. You find the same thing worldwide. They're usually kind of round or oval shaped. They can be anywhere from a half an inch in diameter to several inches in diameter, and they're sharpened all the way around the outside by flaking the rock off. And they're always made out of flint or agate or obsidian, something like that. Well, we found 4 of them going up this ravine here. All right, so we come back down to the car. We left them there, of course. We come back down to the car and we continue on to our campsite. And that night I got to thinking about it.
Yeah, so we wondered what's at the top, because things go downhill, so there must be something higher up.
Yeah, so we came back the next day and we found a way in. We're going to take you in now. And after you get in there, you're going to see why this area puzzles us. You help us figure out what was going on up here. Okay,
All right.
let's try it. Well, the next day we did come back here and we found this road that kind of leads up into that area. Kind of narrow, and I don't want to scrape my truck up getting in here. But we'll go up and see what it's like today. We can drive up in here without too much difficulty.
Okay, this is it. This is the place we've been wondering about. We can't figure it out, but maybe you guys can.
There's a couple different possibilities, but first let's get into the details. Yeah, Linda and I came up here the next day just to explore, and what we found was a plateau up here, a small plateau, maybe 20 acres in size, covered in flakes from tool making. There was flakes all over this area. I don't know if there still are or not. Probably a lot of people have been coming up in here over the years since camping got to be more popular traveling, but we'll look around. This one here. And there's one right over here, gray one laying there. There's another piece right there.
And one there.
One over here. So they're all just, they're everywhere. There's lots. One right here. One right, I'll show it to you first. One right there. So all this means is they were really active, the Native Americans, the Indians, in this area. And flake or a chip of rock? That's a flake. Yeah, you can see where it's been worked there. So I'll tell you, this entire area is so covered in flakes that you almost couldn't take a step without stepping on them. So I'm thinking, how did all this tool making take place here? And the first thing that Linda and I came up with was that, well, maybe the tribe showed up here during the pinyon pine nut season, and the women and children went out and picked pine nuts, which they would dry out and pound into a flour. Pretty time consuming. While the women were doing that, the men sat in camp and made tools. And this was a huge encampment. Well, that's one idea that we came up with first. And then after that, we got to thinking, well, for there to be an encampment, there would have to be water, because if they're staying here for any length of time. So on another trip down here, we came back in here and we went hiking around. And up this ravine here, there's a spring. But we found something else that was strange here. We found rocks. You see all these rocks here? I'm not going to try to find one right now. I'll describe to you what I'm talking about. But we found regular rocks that had been shaped roughly. You know, a rock this size maybe, a little thicker than this. And the edges on one side were also kind of roughly flaked off and kind of sharpened. Maybe a little like that. And they were kind of crescent shaped. So they were like 8 to 12 inches in length, slightly crescent shaped, and sharpened on one edge. To me, in my opinion, it looked like they could have been hafted. You know, a handle put on them. And what would you use something like that for? Cutting brush, cutting weeds, agriculture. So then we thought, well, maybe this area had been planted. Maybe they grew squash and corn here or something like that, because we found the water source. And the water source is uphill, and it could have been ditched down to here really easy. In fact, Linda and I hiked the hill up here, and there's signs of a possible ditch that led this way. It kind of followed the hillside with a steady decline or steady, you know, downhill slope to it, down to this area. So that was the other thing, is maybe this area here was used for agriculture. Little tiny flakes here. One time when we came back in here, we've been in here like 4 or 5 times now, but people had actually gathered the flakes up into piles and had left them, you know, just gathered them up and left piles of them. They've all disappeared now, or appears they have. Well, if that's a flake tool, it's a really rough one. But this is kind of the shape of those scrapers or knives I was talking about. But this is pretty rough here. I don't think that's one. People must have taken those flakes out of here by the jar full. But they're beautifully colored. As I walk along, I'm still finding lots of small flakes everywhere. These flakes are agate. This is even a bigger area down here on the southern end of this place. There's a beautiful onyx flake. Wow, here's a big one. Linda just found this one, and this is an actual tool. This was actually worked very finely all around the edges, but it's super old, so it's dull again now. But this was a little tiny knife, you know, for cutting cordage or something like that. This is different than the other pieces laying here. I'm not going to tell you where this is. I'll just say that it's west of Ely, Nevada. But all of Nevada is pretty special when it comes to learning how the Native American Indians lived. So yeah, that's why we like to come down here and poke around like this, because it gets your mind going and makes you wonder and think about what their lifestyle was like, what their daily lives was like. Another piece. Anyways, the point is, the area is covered in flakes. How long has this campfire ring been here? It's still getting used. It's right on the edge of the ravine. Kind of a beautiful place to hang out. Okay, so the thousands of flakes are pretty much gone. I'm glad I have a little bit of video evidence of it, of what it once was. But what do you think this area was used for? Oh, there's something else. Hold on, I got to tell you about this. The other thing that you have to think about is, for all this tool making to be going on down here, there had to be a source of agate nearby here that they were chipping these pieces off of. I wondered about that too. I know that as they traveled, as they walked, they were napping off usable size pieces, preforms, off of larger pieces of rock, napping tools. I know that they did that because the next thing I got to tell you about is the Trail of Flakes. When Linda and I went looking for the water source, we found this trail of flakes that just goes on and on. We're going to take a walk up here and look for the spring again to see if it's flowing, although this being 1st of August, maybe not. And we'll show you that trail of flakes. But the way we found the spring was we were following a trail of flakes going this way. I just picked up this flake here. And then also this larger piece that they discarded. It's a piece of agate and it just wasn't usable, had too many imperfections in it. This is part of an old arrowhead here. You can see the base, you can see the notch on that side right there. Upper right hand corner. Kind of see the shape of it, worked around the edges. Yeah, that's an old broken arrowhead. Beautiful piece of stone though. It's got red in it and white. Well, Linda's back in the shade, leaving me to, ooh, isn't that a beautiful piece? Almost looks like a carnelian or something. Yeah, I'm looking for that spring. It's been years since we found it, but there's a very pronounced animal trail here. And I'm thinking that's going to take me right to it. Well, this is the lower part of it. Forest Service has put in a trough here to catch water for the local wildlife, and you can see that it's dripping water right there. The part of the spring that we discovered is further up. That's good enough to show you that there's a spring here. That's all I wanted to do. Let's go find that trail of flakes and we'll talk about that a little bit. Just leaving the spring and headed up the hillside here. Yeah, you can bet the Native Americans visited this area a lot because of the water. And I suppose that different times of year, like when we were here the last time, the spring was flowing pretty good. Towards the end of summer, it probably tapers off a lot. In the early parts of the year, it flows a lot faster. Well, today is really hot. It's 90 degrees and I've been going uphill. I dropped Linda off in a shady area down below. She's going to sit this one out. And I'm hoping I can find that trail that I was talking about. Basically, it's a trail about, 10 to 20 feet wide. And you can follow the flakes along. There's another flake on the ground right here. You can follow the flakes along. And if you get off the trail to either side, you don't see them anymore, which that's how you discover that it's a trail. As long as you stay on the trail, there's just flake after flake after flake. And it basically wraps around this mountain and follows the hillside here and goes around. I'm pretty much on it right now, but we followed it for quite a ways until we finally gave up. What we're trying to do now is to move as fast as we can going in this direction, yet stay on this trail. It's a pretty easy trail to follow. Hansel and Gretel couldn't have done a better job. Yeah. You know what this is? This is an old drill bit where this could be an old drill bit. I'm not going to say it is because I'm no expert. But basically it was wider at the top, narrow at the bottom, and they used it for twisting. They would put it on a haft, a short stick, and they would twist this and make it drill holes. And because it's flat on one side, it would make it, and kind of convex on the other, it would make it so it could dig in. So I think that's a broken drill bit, but I'm not sure. Looks like it to me though. Okay, I'm on the trail now. And basically every 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 feet you find a flake. And it keeps going and it goes around, see the big rock on the right side there? It goes around the left side of that and goes over this low spot and into the valley on the other side. Where it goes after that, I don't know. We didn't follow it that far. So that's another thing to throw into the puzzle here. This area is on a major travel route, but they camped here for some reason. And, you know, and they had water and they had, you know, a comfortable place to camp, and they stayed here for long periods of time. You guys tell me what you think. I'd like to hear about it. So we'll just kind of keep following along through here for a ways. Okay, the flakes seem to follow the left side of this hill. And there's a ravine down below, and you would think they would follow the ravine up rather than coming up on this hill just to go down again from here. I don't think they went down again, but it's hard to say. We're not in the same predicament or situation that they were in. It's really difficult for us to interpret what they would have done by what we would do today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would have traveled just below this ridgeline so I wouldn't be skylined. Is that the word? When you're standing up on the...
Yeah, just below the ridge line. Well, that seems to be the trail is a lot. Let's follow this out, and because I've got trail of flakes to where I'm standing, so but I don't know if it goes to the left, down, or if it goes up there or what. So let's continue on.
Try to go that way.
This was easier the last time I did this because I was with Linda, and she was on one side of the trail and I was on the other, so it was easier to tell when we were venturing off of it. But I think I've shown you guys enough here. This is a piece of obsidian. Look at that. That might have been a trade piece. A lot of obsidian came out of Oregon. There's other places too, but don't see too much obsidian here, but there's a piece. And with that, I'm going to make my way back down to Linda and see how she's doing. Linda! Okay, I'm on my way. There she is. You can bet she's been poking around on her own down here.
Wow, they're just all over the place.
Yeah.
Look at this pretty rock they took off of.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a beautiful mother stone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pretty piece.
And since this is just a rock, I can take it.
Yeah, it's not an artifact.
Yeah.
It's just a knockoff. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I got on the Trail of Flakes. It was a lot harder without you being there, because remember last time you were on one side and I was on the other side, and we could keep track. Mm-hmm. So with me being on just one side, it was a lot harder. But I've got on it up there, and it's still there. Yeah. Let's go back and eat some lunch and drink something cool. And oh, I found a piece of obsidian, which is kind of rare in this area. You don't see that very often. And a piece of what looked like carnelian. But yeah.
I've thrown those back down. Little.
Yeah, little tiny pieces, yeah.
Yeah. You want some cool water?
I'll finish drinking what I got here and we'll head back for the truck, okay? Well, this looks like a bird in flight. How you like that? That's pretty cool. Its wings down. Stop picking up flakes.
This is a broken arrowhead.
Oh, yeah. They're all over the place too. Oh, just another broken arrowhead. Okay. You can start. You stand here. Okay, go ahead.
You should stand in a hole so I can be the same height.
Well, I put you on the upper side of this to make you look a little taller. I'm standing down lower than you. Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty, folks.
Thanks for coming along, you guys.
Yeah, it was fun. It was hot, but it was fun.
Yeah, and we're glad we could share this with you. So what was it? Was it just a big encampment? Was it an agricultural site? What was this? We don't know. So please down in the comments, share your ideas on it.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoyed the video.
There's a few of you out there that are semi-archaeologists, geologists.
Yeah.
Pipe in too.
Exactly. And any of you guys that are in tune with the Native American culture, you know, we have Native American friends.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe you guys could pipe up too. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
And we'll see you around in the next video.